First, we're going to cube our beef into small, manageable bite-sized pieces like this. To get the perfect bite in your beef barley soup, start with a cut of beef that's made for slow cooking like this. Chuck roast, or you can even use brisket. These tougher cuts break down beautifully, becoming tender and flavorful over time. Alright, searing beef cube is a step you don't want to skip. It is where the flavor begins, and this is how you take those simple chunks of beef and transform them into rich, caramelized bite that are deep in flavor. Alright, start with a hot, heavy bottom stainless steel pot. Add just a little bit of oil, just enough to lightly coat the bottom. You want the oil simmering, not smoking. Now the beef cube goes in there, and the key is to not overcrowding the pot. If you cram all the meat in there, the temperature drops and you'll end up steaming the beef rather than caramelizing them, which is not what we're looking for here. Alright, you see these brown bits sticking to the bottom of the pot? We want those there. That's pure flavor waiting to happen. When you add our vegetables and liquid later on, they will lift off and infuse with the whole soup with a deep, savory richness. So, searing isn't just about looks, it's about building layers of flavor that makes your beef barley soup unforgettable. Speaking of unforgettable, we need to talk about another building block of this soup. It's called mirepoix.
All we're gonna need is some carrot, some onion, and
So
some
you ever
celery.
wonder why some soups are just better in taste? The secret is mirepoix. Onion, carrot, and celery. It's been around since 18th century France, named after a duke who probably never chopped an onion in his life, but his chefs knew what they were doing. So fast forward to today, and mirepoix is still a go-to flavor base. It is now time to build our stock. So to do that, we're taking our mirepoix, and I'm also going to add a head of garlic in there, fry it in our rendered beef fat, and let all the flavor lift off from the pan. And when that is rendered a little bit, we're going to add 4 cups of chicken broth or beef broth, depending on what you have, and let that simmer for a while. Alright, I think we can level up this broth by doing something crazy here. We're going to add a splash of Worcestershire sauce to punch in that umami flavor, and then we'll add a little bit of soy sauce to deepen that flavor without overpowering it. Then, to make our sauce bold, we'll add tomato paste, which will add slight sweetness, but also thickens our broth a little bit. Now it's time to bring back the star of the show, our beautifully seared beef. Drop it right into the simmering soup base, letting all those caramelized bits infuse deep into the broth. As it simmers though, let's talk about barley. Dry barley expands a lot as it soaks up liquid. Look at this. I started with just 1/4 cup of barley, and after soaking it in water for a while, it swelled up to 1.25 cups. Crazy, right? And here's the best part. Barley doesn't just add texture, it's packed with fiber, which makes the soup more filling, and it also helps thicken the broth as it cooks. Now let's toss it in the soup as well, and let it soak up all that rich, beefy flavor. Now we're going to add a good pinch of salt, and then some black pepper. Now let's layer in the herbs. For this soup, I'm going to be adding basil, parsley, and thyme. Now we'll cover the lid and let it, but there is something to watch out for. The beef fat will rise, creating an oily layer on top. No worries though, I've got a simple trick. Just take a paper towel, gently lay it on the top surface, and watch it soak up that excess fat. Now repeat this few times, and voila, look at the difference. A cleaner, smoother looking broth. Here is the before and after shot for comparison. Now we'll let that simmer for a little bit longer, and then it will be ready to serve. And just like that, our beef barley soup is ready. The broth has thickened beautifully, soaking up all those herbs and seasoning. And the beef, it's fall apart tender, so soft you could break it with your fingers. Every bite is warm, comforting, and just what you need on a chilly day. If this made you hungry, imagine how good it will taste when you make it yourself. Hit subscribe to DadBodKitchen for more easy, no-fuss recipes.